It's Sunday night, and you know what that means. Another piping hot episode of the Slashily Ever After podcast. We are back.
I know. It feels so weird.
Feels so weird.
It's been a long time. It's been like a month.
Yeah. So for those of you who are not aware, I am a full-time content creator, and I did a subathon on Twitch that ended up lasting the better part of 2 weeks. Kind of ruined our whole mojo. We took a bunch of time off from scary movies, took a bunch of time off from anything that wasn't live streaming. And sadly, the Slashily Ever After podcast kind of fell by the wayside, but we are back. We have watched like
15 movies.
15 horror movies since we last talked to you guys. Maybe even more. I don't know. We'll go through it. But today we're going to bring you guys quick reviews of the 4 currently running theatrical films, correct? That was the plan?
Yep. They're all in theaters as we speak right now on April 6th.
April 6th. Yeah. So it's April 6th today. Do not adjust your watches. I don't know what I'm doing. I forgot how to do this. It's been so long.
I feel really weird.
Why?
I like, where do I look? What do I do with my hands?
Well, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not used to being on camera and speaking. But no, but it does feel a little weird. It feels great though. It feels right. And we've been really excited. We watched all 4 of these movies this weekend. We did a double feature on Friday and a double feature on Saturday. Not like a traditional double feature. There was time in between, but basically we've been in the trenches at Regal and AMC, like watching these films so we can talk about them with you guys. But thank you so much for your patience. We promise not to go on another one of these hiatuses again. We got this episode we're recording. We've got like 10 streaming movies we watched, and we've already got like a game plan to stay on top of it. So we shouldn't go MIA outside of like a tragedy. You know, like we decide we don't like horror movies anymore. You know.
Like,
it's all right.
Tragedy.
You want to get right into it?
Yeah, we sure can.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 4 movies that we watched this weekend. And then afterwards, we're going to do just a little tier list, not a major one, but just kind of like, because I think that we had a preconceived notion about where these movies would land and our preferences. And I think that we were both like very pleasantly surprised that we did not call it at all. So we're going to open with the first film that we saw. And that's going to be Woman in the Yard. Take it away, Giza Britanniza.
The Woman in the Yard.
It's Woman in the Yard.
In Yard the.
Woman in the Yard. Going far.
I didn't realize it was oh yeah, it is Blumhouse.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Producers for Megan. I haven't seen.
Yeah, we're gonna see Megan, and we'll do a little. I think what we'll do for the podcast is we'll do a double episode. We'll talk about Megan, and then we'll talk about Megan 2.
Cool.
Because like you haven't seen Megan, and I fucking loved it, and I'm excited to talk about it and rewatch it, and so it'd be fun to talk about. I think both back to back. But anyways, we digress. The Woman in Yard the. Right?
The Woman in the Yard, PG-13 horror movie. So you know how we feel about those.
Yeah. That was actually the first thing I said to her on the way to the theater. I was like, well, at least we're starting with the PG-13 movie, so only up from here.
Yeah. So it's an hour, 28 minutes long, not too bad. I think most of these movies are right around that same time stamp. Came out March 28th, 2025, so like a week or so ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tagline is "Don't let her in." In the aftermath of her husband's death, widow Ramona's struggle to raise her 2 kids is hindered by the arrival of a mysterious woman with supernatural abilities.
Yeah. So, yeah, Blumhouse flick, PG-13. We saw trailers for this, like leading up to it over the course of the last year. I don't think either one of us was excited about it.
Yeah, like there's just a creepy ghost lady in the yard.
Yeah.
I really didn't know anything about it. I honestly kind of forgot about it until your sister messaged us about it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, Woman in the Yard. I wonder whose yard she's in.
Yeah, that was a funny exchange on Facebook. Yeah, so again, it's like I saw the trailer for it and then forgot that it existed. And when we were heading to it, I had no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize I had already seen the trailer. And then we saw the film, and then I'm like, oh, I remember that trailer now. Mm-hmm. But it definitely did not get the Speak No Evil treatment where it was like shoved down your throat. It was kind of flew under the radar. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cute. It's almost kind of like, it's like our sort of kind of dream. Like this couple, this family from like the city, they want to live their dream of like, buying like a fixer-upper. That part we don't want.
No, we want to just buy a good one.
We just want one that's done.
Yeah.
But that like farmland, they have like chickens, they have like a dog, And,
a couple kids.
And
Teenage
the
boy,
wife,
little girl.
like is an artist. She paints, so she doesn't work anymore.
And yeah, so I think that we both went into this one kind of expecting it to be a toss away, and both of us were like blown away.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jump scares that are naturally occurring. I think it's called a diegetic jump scare. Diegetic jump scare. Anyways, it's not
diegetic. That's when you can't have sugar, right? Right? Is that what that is?
Yes.
What does that have to do with jump scares?
So it wasn't like musical stings. It was like a door opening, but like really loud, or like a door slamming, like something hitting in the window. Like it was those kinds of things, and they weren't annoying.
No.
It started to get a little frequent.
I think we started off, and again, I think it speaks to us coming in with kind of a negative attitude. That we were
Yeah.
both weird. So we were completely alone in the theater. This was just the two of us. Like there was no one else in the theater for this.
Oh
one.
yeah, there was nobody in the theater.
So we got to be like what we do at home, sit and talk the whole time, and like have basically running commentary and making comments. And I think we started off really like kind of making fun of it a little bit, being like, oh wow, cheap jump scares and stuff. And so it was a little bit annoying at first. But wow, it was setting the table for a great movie. And again, we can't really go into deep spoilers, I don't think, because I don't think you'd want it spoiled.
I would say that if you are sensitive to certain things, you should look up the trigger warnings.
Yes.
Because it does deal with some intense themes.
Yes, very intense themes.
But as two people who were have been affected by what ends up happening in this movie, we were both okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
we were both
so, but if you tend to be sensitive about some things, definitely look up trigger warnings. But it was very good. It was so good. I was surprised it was a PG-13 horror movie, but it's really just all about like the suspense and like making you uncomfortable, and you're like, God, what's gonna happen? And like this woman, like she keeps like getting closer and closer to the home. You're like, what is happening? But it's so good.
And every character was so well written and well performed.
Yeah,
like
you cared about everybody.
Ramona was an absolute what?
I said you cared about everybody except for, and then you started talking.
Yeah.
You had strong feelings about every single character in this movie. Like nobody felt underdeveloped.
Yeah.
You know, everybody had a great story and you were along for the ride, and whether they were good characters or bad characters, you're like,
you got really, I felt so invested. Like within the first 30 minutes, I cared so much about every character.
Same.
And I thought Ramona was amazing. The performance individually was amazing. The kids both did terrific.
The kids did so good.
And even the dog slayed. It was just, everybody was
Those
awesome.
chickens though.
Yeah, they were a little underwhelming, I'll be honest. But no, it was again a fantastic ride. I thought the ending was incredible. There is like controversy about the ending, and we'd be happy to talk about that in the Discord if people want to have deep spoilered conversations, or feel free to comment. But again, if you're avoiding spoilers, maybe don't read the comments after you see, because it will kind of ruin the film if you know how it ends. But it was just. Again, I can't say enough good things about it. Like we've already been recommending it to everybody. Like this one flew under the radar. And again, I think we both expected this to be kind of a throwaway, and this one ended up like setting the tone really high. And it was great. Fantastic movie. Loved it. We'll buy it. We'll watch it again. Like it's definitely a rewatch, which to me, that's I think maybe the greatest compliment I can pay a movie is that I'd like to see it again. And yeah, they're just. The effects that were they did so much with so little too, because you have 4 characters and maybe I guess
4.5.
Technically 4.5, yeah. And it all takes place in the home or around the home, so there wasn't like a real bunch like change of scenery. There wasn't like, but it was just
they're either in the yard, or the house, and that's it. There's nowhere else they go, and it's mainly 4 people. So the woman, the mom, and the 2 kids, because I mean, as the synopsis says, she's newly widowed, so there's flashbacks to like the dad. But it's just those 5 people. There's nothing. There's no background character. There's nothing. And the woman in the yard was was a fantastic antagonist. And they developed her so well. The lighting effects and the shadow effects were so good. This one just really outkicked its coverage. It was so good. I think thus far, I would probably say it's my favorite movie that came out this year.
I haven't thought through that, so I can't say that, but I would it will be in the conversation.
It's in the conversation for sure.
And yeah, I anticipate this one being very high in our end of year wrap up tier list, because it was, it was a great one.
Because it was so surprising too.
Yeah. Woman in the Yard, 10 out of 10. Letterbox review is going to be very, very generous. I would recommend seeing it in theaters if you still can, because I think it was one that was helped out by the theater experience. Also, I'd like to see this movie do well, because I really think,
want more like this.
Yeah.
I want them to be rewarded for what they've done because it's so good.
Yeah, terrific film. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Go see it.
All right. Next up, we've got
Hell of a
Summer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This is one we've seen a lot of preview. It's been in front of every single movie we've seen in theaters. It's been a preview.
Yeah.
Not like Speak No Evil. It has not invaded us completely, but we saw it in front of every movie. Really good. So it's an R-rated horror film, hour and 28 minutes long. Again, usual. So it actually was like released September 2023.
Really?
Yeah, it was in a Toronto International Film Festival.
Okay.
Nothing else after that. So it was only in that one thing. So I don't know if maybe they did it then and then they got feedback and they changed things or what, but it was not in any other film festivals.
Okay.
Film festivals. It is technically a limited release and it came out April 4th, 2025.
Okay.
So tagline is pack your body bags.
Yeah. So Neon doesn't miss. Just going to throw it out there. I swear.
What is that other one? 30 West.
30 West.
That's the other production company next to
I don't
Neon.
know anything about 30 West, but I know Neon has a great reputation and it's earned. So yeah, we saw previews for this a lot leading up to it. Now, when we were talking about getting tickets for the movies, she mentioned Hell of the Summer. I didn't put two and two together that it was the same movie. So when we got there, she's like, "Oh, this is that one with the summer camp," and I was like, "Oh!" And then I immediately got really excited.
Yeah. It's very fun. So when 24-year-old Jason Hochberg arrives for counselor weekend at his beloved Camp Pineway, his biggest problem is feeling out of touch with his teenage coworkers. Little does he know a masked killer has murdered camp owners John and Kathy and is preparing to strike again.
So, TLDR wrap up. They didn't reinvent the wheel here. It's a very familiar formula. Summer camp, slasher, whodunit. But this was very much a horror comedy and was so fucking funny.
Very
I was
good.
laughing out loud the entire film. We had a few people in with us that were also enjoying the film. Everybody was laughing. People were having a great time.
This was like the true double feature we did. So we saw The Woman in the Yard at like the dinner time showings, and then this was like the after dark showings.
Yeah.
So like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah. It was
So it was our theater was quite a sausage fest. I was the only woman in the theater.
True.
So it was me and Doug, one solo guy, and then like two other dudes.
Yep. And we were worried. We got in. It was when, everybody's had that bad theater experience, but the pair of dudes came in loud and proud and they were yakking a lot. And we were a little worried they were going to ruin the experience, but they got locked in and it was great. Yeah. And again, they didn't distract from what I think is, I don't want to make a too bold a statement, but this is one of the best modern horror comedies that I've seen. I think I would put it that. It's so funny. The characters are so well written. They're so well performed. Again, you get really invested really quick. The lead guy, the Jason Hochberg guy, I don't know the actor's name.
His name is Fred Hetchinger.
I think Fred Hetchinger was about as well cast as a character can be. He was so good.
It's funny, like if you ever have seen the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix character, you haven't seen it. Joaquin Phoenix character reminds me so much of him, like just like the awkward, like quiet guy that like desperately wants to be liked.
Yeah.
But he's so friendly. He's such a nice guy, and not like the nice guy trope, like, oh, such a nice guy. Like he's actually genuinely a nice guy.
Yeah,
he's
a great guy.
Wants to make sure everybody has a great time at camp. Like he wants to help everybody, and like nobody likes him. It's so sad. They like him later.
Yeah.
But it's such a good movie. Oh,
yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. Just from the opener, it was one of those things like a lot of times you can tell if a movie's going to be great from like the first act and the opening, and it just opens so funny and just never stopped. It like never let up. I was laughing the entire time, never dragged, never a wasted moment. Character interactions were 10 out of 10. Dialogue was 10 out of 10.
Another movie where every character was developed appropriately.
Absolutely.
There was characters you didn't like. There are people that you love that you were rooting for. Fire can't burn a dragon.
That is so funny. Yeah. Again, we've been quoting it all weekend. And then, again, I'll circle back to the only real criticism is that like, it's really not all that original and you're not going to be like blown away by the twist. they didn't really do anything new there, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's
because that
totally fine.
really you were just setting the table to fall in love with these characters and laugh your ass off, and that worked. Kind of reminds me of like Thanksgiving in terms of innovation. Like it's been done, but they managed to keep a trope pretty fresh because it was fun. It was a fun ride. Yeah. And I don't think anybody will be disappointed after watching. I can't imagine someone disliking it. The kills were pretty good. It wasn't like gratuitous. We weren't talking
it's not
Terrifier levels, but it's also not PG-13. Like they went in. And yeah, it's good stuff. I really liked it a lot. It's another one that I'll definitely watch again. I got to show up. My oldest son really likes horror comedies, so I'm going to show this to my oldest boy. I think he'll love it. So
a friendship bracelet says Pine Way for life.
Yeah.
For life.
The Pine Way song was pretty good too. It's just everything about it. Like I said, the opener was great, and then I think it'll be iconic. I think it'll be one that like sticks around. Like this will be one that'll be in conversations. Definitely for me. It's because we don't get a lot of high quality horror comedies, but we've had some great ones recently. We're going to talk about another one that we watched on streaming on Shudder.
Every time I think of like good horror comedy that we've watched recently, I always go back to Getaway. Yeah,
Getaway was fantastic. You need to see Tucker and Dale too. Tucker and Dale's the GOAT of horror comedy. So, all right, Hell of a Summer. Definitely a thumbs up. Definitely a watch.
It was hell of a movie.
Hell of a movie. I think it's a hell of a good value too. So
yeah, really good.
I would see it in theaters. It's a fun theater experience, and I think it's one of those films that is helped out by a laugh track because the whole theater was laughing the whole movie. So
the whole 5 of us were laughing.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? 5 strong. We keep horror relevant out here in North Seattle. All right, coming up in the third spot, one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Death of a Unicorn.
Oh, A24. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Death of a Unicorn, I guess this is kind of a segue. I didn't really hear much about it. I'm kind of like under a rock because my whole life is like work and then The Sims right now. So of the horror movies, I have like a website that I follow where things come out and then I hear what's actually like hyped up by Doug. So I did not really know much about this. However, I do have an animal tracking app that I like.
You have animal tracking apps?
I have two. So this one,
Man, you never hyperfixate on that. That's crazy.
Search is what it's called. And so they have like a bunch of sharks they track. They had a unicorn in Canada, and I was like, is this like just an April Fool's joke? Like, this is so cool. It was advertising for Death of a Unicorn, which I thought like, that's so cool. That's so fun.
Yeah, it's neat. She got so excited. We were in the theater, and there was a scene where they used the photograph they used on her tracking app. So she like pulled her phone out and was like,
look, this is it. That's the guy. So Death of a Unicorn, R-rated horror film, hour and 47 minutes long. It actually was first shown a couple weeks before it was released. It was at South by Southwest Film Festival, March 8th, and it came out March 28th in theaters. So the tagline is, they're going to make a killing.
Or Payback is a Beast.
Apparently there's 2 in this one, yeah. So a father and daughter accidentally hit and kill a unicorn when en route to a weekend retreat where his billionaire boss seeks to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties. I will say, because it's not spoilers, because it's in the tagline, or it's in the synopsis, it was very sad.
Yeah.
Starting to watch it. I was devastated.
She's an animal person.
Even fake mythical animals, I was like tearing up, and I cried at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're an animal lover, this one's going to pull at the heartstrings. But I will say,
but watch it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's so good. So outside of Téa Leoni, Will Poulter, Jenna Ortega, and Paul Rudd, like there's not a lot. I can't remember the guy's name, but the dude who plays, I think it's Anthony something. He plays NoHo Hank in Barry on HBO.
Oh, I can look.
He's another
Anthony Carrigan.
Anthony Carrigan was in the film.
He was a butler.
Automatically,
Griff.
Anthony Carrigan makes me invested in anything. Like, he's so good. But the cast was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. The story was original. It was super fun, super funny. I mean, you're not going to put Paul Rudd at the helm and not have a good time, right? But yeah, I think I will say that because Hell of a Summer was so good and was a horror comedy, that maybe it didn't hit as hard because it was funny, but I don't think it was as funny as Hell of a Summer. But it was a very, very, very fun movie and highly recommended. It's
another movie where every character was developed properly. Like the bad guys, the good guys, the unicorn.
Yeah. Unicorns.
Everybody was developed appropriately, and you're invested.
Yep. It was great social commentary on the pharmaceutical industry and how corrupt it is, which I thought was great. I'm a big politics dork, so for me, like, that was a good selling point. And again, the cast was incredible. The dialogue was great. A24 doesn't miss, right? And it's very, very, very good. And also, I would describe it as a creature feature, and I am a creature feature junkie. It's my favorite horror genre ever. Creature features are where it's at for me. So this was like a perfect movie for me.
It was such a good one. Like,
Yep.
For me, the things that I was thinking about from the animal girly in me, it's always a Clydesdale is the unicorn, the horse that they're compared to, the ones that look like they have bell bottoms for feet.
Yeah.
But they did the same thing. It was like a Clydesdale, but they made it creepier. Like, as you can see, the teeth are insane. There's another part where towards the end of the movie where you start seeing scarier things about the creature feature. Like, it's so good.
They got into a lot of the mythology of unicorns, like the actual like lore of unicorns, and that plays a part in the story. And yeah, it's just, again, I mean, we're lucky because we just kept seeing bangers this weekend, and this is another banger.
Thank God, because we had a lot of movies
Yeah,
we had to watch.
4 movies
back
in the
to back
theater.
to
Thank
back to
God we
back.
weren't slogging till the end.
Yes.
So again, I know we've already told you, you got to see Woman in the Yard, you got to see Hell of a Summer, but you got to see Death of a Unicorn as well. Like, it's a must watch.
Yeah, I'm shocked of how good of all the horror movies that are out right now. Like, it's not summer, it's not October, but they're all so good right now.
Yeah, we're eating very well here at the Slashily.
Who's Richard E. Grant? That's the other person that's up there.
I think Richard E. Grant would have been the
dad.
Yeah, the CEO. So, again, no spoilers, but you got to see it. It's great.
And if you're an animal lover, you can still see it.
Yes. Yeah, it wins for animal lovers and for everyone. All right, cool. Death of a Unicorn. Go watch it.
So good.
And coming up with our final film, one that
saw 9 o'clock last night.
9 o'clock last night. It was a limited release.
Yes. So
we saw Screamboat.
Screamboat. I gotta start first. If you are going to see this movie, you need to get there at the moment that it starts, because there are no previews.
Nope.
There's nothing in front of it.
Nope.
It literally just starts.
You get a little intro from David Howard Thornton, and they say basically, this is a passion project. Have fun. Watch the movie, and boom, it starts.
Laugh out loud. Be grossed out, and remember that a scream is a wish your heart makes.
True.
Which is what they say.
That's what he said.
Yep, that's also the tagline.
So I have a thing. I'm neurotic about making sure I go to the bathroom before the film starts, because if I don't, I'll have to pee and get distracted. And my favorite thing in the world is to go to the movie theater and get their largest size, either Pepsi Zero Sugar for Regal or Mellow Yellow Zero Sugar for AMC. And this is an AMC film, AMC exclusive. So I got my Mellow Yellow, and I had already drank about half of it by the time the film was starting. And I typically time it at the last.
When Nicole Kidman comes on, it's time for Doug to go to the bathroom. And when Regal, when the roller coaster comes on, that's when Doug goes to the bathroom. Like, we have our things.
But this one had no previews.
Nothing.
So I had to I had to watch the film without a bathroom break.
And then he didn't even go after.
I didn't. No.
He waited till we got home.
No.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, you were like, are you sure we're in the right theater? Like, is this what we're supposed to be? Because we were the only ones there. It's like 5 minutes before 9. Like, the screen is like, there's no pre-show either. There's nothing.
There was no lead up. It literally, so I don't know.
No pre-show, no trailers.
I think it's only got one more night before it's out of limited release. But basically, if you guys somehow watch this before you go, make sure you go to the bathroom first. That's the whole reason why I brought up peeing. So, my bad.
So, this is not a rated film, but I guess if it were rated, it would be rated R.
It's definitely rated R. Yeah. Actually, probably there's one scene that maybe would push it past R. It might be NC-17.
I don't think it's that bad. It would be like a not rated film, which is how the Terrifier movies are. Like, Terrifier 3 wasn't technically a rated movie.
But they show a penis. There, I said it. They show a penis. And you can't show a penis in a rated R movie. It's like,
yes, you can.
I don't think you can. I think showing a penis pushes you past
I don't
the
think
limit.
you can show, like, penetration in a R-rated movie. But I think you can show a penis.
If there's anybody that works in the ESRB, please let us know in the comments if you can show a penis in a rated R movie.
Anyways, it came out April 2nd. It says full scream ahead, April 2nd.
Yeah.
That's really fun. The tagline is a scream is a wish your heart makes. A late-night boat ride turns into a desperate fight for survival in New York City when a mischievous mouse becomes a monstrous reality, which is David Howard Thornton.
David Howard Thornton, everybody knows
The
him.
Terrifier.
The Terrifier, yeah. Terrifier, lead art man for Terrifier, played Steamboat Willie. Now, going into the weekend, this was the one I was looking forward to seeing the most. I'm a huge Terrifier fan. I'm a huge David Howard Thornton fan. I love cheesy slasher types. I love this stuff. But I will admit I was a little disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I was. I didn't want to love a movie more than this one that I watched this weekend. And I had a really hard time loving it. It was fun. I liked it. I'm glad I saw it. And I'm excited that they confirmed a sequel, which I don't think that's a spoiler. Because
It says it at the end. They'll be back.
They said that they're going to be back. But that being said, it was kind of a miss. Kind of a miss for me. It kind of felt like they didn't really know what they wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little too camp, a little too cheesy, a little too kind of forcing the horror comedy aspect, I think. Mm-hmm. But then it also wasn't as much splatter as I would have expected.
It's pretty tame, considering it's Terrifier.
So I went into it expecting, especially with that lead in, I expected kind of a Terrifier-esque film. Mm-hmm. And just, kind of a miss. I will also, light spoiler, but Willie's tiny. So they actually green screened a lot, and I didn't think that it was great.
The mouse puppet was awful.
Yeah, you can tell.
But everybody was laughing at it.
You could tell that the film had a budget. Like it was definitely not. We've seen some low budget movies over the last few weeks. This one felt like it had a budget, but then they kind of still managed to maybe not make it.
They brought back the girl from the first Terrifier movie, the blonde.
Yes.
And if you're a huge Disney fan, you'll actually kind of like it. There's a lot of shout outs to Disney's. There's a bunch of the Woo girls, the party girls. They're all Disney princesses. There's little references throughout the movie of different Disney movies.
The whole thing was kind of on the nose with. Again, we talked about this on the drive home last night. That this one, the target audience for this one is probably Disney fans.
Mm-hmm. But also like horror.
Tons of references to Disney. More than we can probably keep track of, even. Mm-hmm. You could probably count them and lose track. But I guess I hate to say it, but I didn't love it.
They also reused a joke. You knew it was coming, and then you're like, oh, yep, there it is. Yeah.
Well, then they even referenced reusing jokes. They referenced overdoing jokes. There was this kind of, it just felt like.
It's a movie that they made for themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, we should release this too. And I mean, I don't know. I wonder if maybe we didn't see so many good movies if you would have liked this more, because there were a fair amount of people. This movie was the most packed of all the movies we saw of the four.
Yeah, there was 10 people there.
Yeah, there was a straight up family. More. There was 2 dudes that were broing out, get away from the wives. Let's go watch a Terrifier movie. Yeah. And everybody was laughing, Everyone was grossed out. Everybody's laughing. So it's definitely good.
I think it was a
fans.
fun movie, and I liked it, but it's more of a watch on streaming than go to the theater and watch.
Yeah.
It's not iconic.
Terrifier 3 was good in theater.
We made some good comparisons last night. This kind of, my hope is that this is kind of the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey to the sequels, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Because for those of you guys that have followed the podcast or know me, I liked Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And I loved Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey too. Mm-hmm. And I think that this has the potential to kind of do the same, where they kind of get off the ground with the opener and then really slam it with the second one. I'm hopeful, because as it stands, this one's probably not a rewatch for me. I might rewatch it once when the next one comes out.
We'll rewatch it when the other one comes out.
Yeah, I'd probably rewatch it for that, just to get it fresh and to be able to make good comparisons here on the podcast. But it's not a I'll watch Terrifier 3 probably 100 times before I'm done on this world, right? Terrifier 3 is iconic. Terrifier 2 is incredible. Terrifier 1 was better than Screamboat is, I think, in terms of
I would agree.
Or going back to it. So I liked it, didn't love it, wouldn't recommend it in the theaters. Wait for streaming. If you're a diehard David Howard Thornton fan, diehard, was it public domain horror? I will say that of the public domain horror movies, this will probably have this one rated the lowest. which is crazy because it got a theatrical release and a lot of them didn't. Like we're going to talk about one next week.
Let's say of all the ones.
Well, not
there's a
all
lot.
the ones.
So there's like, I was looking at the lists. So there have been at least, off the top of my head that I can remember, there's at least 2 Steamboat Willie ones that have come out this year, 2 Popeye ones that came out this year, at least 1 Piglet, and then we had Peter Pan, Neverland's Nightmare. I would say this is better than half of them.
Fair. We'll talk about that more.
We'll talk about next week.
We'll talk about more next week. I want to dig into this conversation, but we don't want to spoil anything for next week's episode. But yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of disappointed because I really, really thought that I was going to love this, and I really thought this was going to be the movie of the weekend. So now that we've discussed all 4 movies, why don't you go ahead, Giza Britanniza, and you rate the films for the weekend?
So coming in at 4th place would be Screamboat for me. 2nd and 3rd are very hard. I kept going back and forth. I think I would say 3rd is going to be Hell of a Summer. 2nd is going to be Death of a Unicorn. And number 1, stealing the show, is going to be The Woman in the Yard. Okay. Very, very good.
Yeah. I love your list. I'm going to also start from the bottom. So coming in at 4th is Screamboat, which had somebody told me before this weekend Screamboat was going to be the worst movie you saw this weekend, I would have called them insane. But it literally it's not even close. Screamboat was not even in the same category as the next 3. Coming in at 3rd, I'm going to go with Death of a Unicorn. I loved it. And again, this was the hardest choice as these 2. Because again, Woman in the Yard is absolutely by far and away the best movie we saw this weekend. So for me, it's all about Hell of a Summer versus Death of a Unicorn. I ended up rating Hell of a Summer higher only because I didn't have as high of expectations for it. Like Death of a Unicorn was one of those movies where I went in and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then I was like, yep, it was great. And again, tomorrow I might change my mind and flip flop again. That's how good it was. And that's how close they were. But Death of a Unicorn 3, Hell of a Summer 2, and stealing the weekend, Woman in the Yard.
I would say that Death of a Unicorn won out over Hell of a Summer for me because of the animals.
Yep. I figured that. And I would say Hell of a Summer won out for me because it was more
of a surprise,
of a pure comedy, and it was a surprise. Like I laughed way more during Hell of a Summer than I did during Death of a Unicorn. But to be fair to Death of a Unicorn, it was a better overall horror movie and much more original, much more unique. But again, to me, if you can take something that's been done to death, put a fresh coat of paint on it and send it, and it's great, that says a lot. So I'm going to give the nod to Hell of a Summer in the tier list. And then Woman in the Yard, absolutely. I'd go see it again. I'd go to the theater and see it again.
Yeah,
I would watch it. It was that good.
Like, to like maybe catch things that we missed or things that weren't like important to us, but later on are important. Yeah. Like maybe more of her paintings in the background.
Yeah. Ramona was an artist, and her art was heavily featured in every act. I think there was something I wanted to talk about on the podcast about acts. I think it was that in Death of a Unicorn, another knock on Death of a Unicorn, which again, great movie. I thought the first act kind of dragged a little too long. I thought they spent too much time on the first act.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I also think it was important for them to build the characters.
Yeah, world building was important.
Like to build the relationship between the, almost said son and daughter, the father and the daughter, and then the billionaire family. Yeah. And Griff.
Yeah, I just felt like I was like, can we get to the good stuff? And then the good stuff.
Zero character development in Screamboat, by the way. Yeah. They went straight to the good stuff, and then you rated it lowest.
Yeah, that's very true. But then the good stuff was kind of, again, it was too campy. They tried too hard. I feel like it was like sweaty Terrifier, like try hard Terrifier. Like they tried way too hard. Yeah, that's just, it sucks to say it, but I just feel like I think that the movie that they envisioned isn't what we got. And that being said, they got another chance to.
I will say I'm kind of surprised. I really liked all the whistling. Like normally, if I like hear people whistling, I'm like, shut up. It's so annoying. But it was fun. I liked it.
I guess we're picking nits too, because like if this was the only movie we watched on a weekend, I'd probably be very satisfied. But it was like followed. Yeah.
Followed by having
to follow up 3 bangers like that. It never stood a chance, and so it really was going to have to even exceed expectations, and I didn't even really meet my expectations. So kind of a bummer, but we'll watch it again. Maybe I'll like it better the second time through. I told her as we were leaving, I was like, I think this is one that I'm gonna like more as it marinates, but I really haven't been able to talk myself into loving it yet. And I tried hard.
Yeah, I think there's another Steamboat Willie movie that we'll talk about next week. Honestly, I feel like this is like the thing that pulled me out of it the most. Him being tiny. In the other Steamboat Willie movie, he's normal size.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a while to even realize he was tiny at the beginning. Yeah, it was just. Yeah.
He's tiny, but like he's not the size of a mouse.
I don't want to talk spoilers at all, but when we stop recording, I want to talk to you about something. 'Cause I just thought of something that is annoying that I didn't like.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk about that. And if you guys want to know, ask in the comments or ask me on Discord or ask in my Twitch stream and I'll tell you. So, all right. Well, that's the wrap up for the movie theater marathon this weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. Tell Brittany she's pretty when she's in Twitch chat. And we'll be back next week to talk about like literally 10 movies. We have 10 movies to talk about.
I think it's more than 10 because I forgot about one of them when I started
make sure
putting
you guys,
together.
for next week, make sure you guys have some caffeine on deck because we're going to be talking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
although I wonder if it'll be the same amount of time.
It probably will. Some of those
I think
movies.
so. Some of there's not much we're going to need to talk about.
Yeah, there's not going to be paragraphs on a lot of those films. So we've been watching everything so you don't have to. So great though, because this week.
But watch all of these.
Yeah, these four movies are all watches.
Mm-hmm.
All watches. Even Screamboat, which we were the most critical of, I still think you should watch it. Next week, we're going to have a lot of skips. All right. So on that note, stay clean, stay focused, and stay off drugs.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah.
And they live Slashily ever after.
Great outro.